That year, the young general renowned across the frontier used all his military merits to petition the emperor for my hand in marriage. Yet 3 years later, a woman arrived at our doorstep clutching a child, weeping as she begged me to take them in. My husband claimed he had made a grave mistake in a drunken stupor. My mother-in-law declared that since I had already ruined my husband's future, I must not destroy his lineage. My closest relatives urged me to be magnanimous, saying all leading ladies in the capital endured such trials. Only my sister, who had always been at odds with me, patted my back and said, "Once you let the emperor decide for you. Then you let your husband decide for you. Now you must learn to decide for yourself. After all, you have a little girl now." I gazed at my tiny daughter still sucking her thumb in my arms. I understood that if I remained weak, my daughter would never learn to be strong. If I allowed myself to be bullied, she would never learn to stand on her own. This time, it was my turn to act. Emerging from Sixth Sister's princess residence, Nanny Gu cradled my 2-year-old daughter, Afu, hesitating to speak. "Madam, where shall we go?" I paused, then replied calmly, "To seek a divorce." But how can that be? To be honest, the young master hasn't committed any grave offense. All men are like this. "Madam, even if you find another, he won't be better than the young master," Nanny Gu pleaded. I ignored her, took Afu into my arms, and kissed her little cheek. Only then did I turn to Nanny Gu, "Leave the mansion. You won't serve me or Afu anymore. I'll give you enough money to live comfortably for the rest of your life." I glanced at the others and said indifferently, "The same goes for you all." Everyone froze, then began pleading. I asked them what they had done wrong. They hadn't done anything wrong. It was simply that I wanted a change of environment, a place where I wasn't controlled by others. Strange as it may seem. Everyone around me never imagined I would divorce Lu Jinghuai. A few days ago, a woman came to my door, clutching a child, begging me to spare their lives. The woman was strikingly beautiful and called Mainyoung. The child was adorable, about 6 months old, bearing an even stronger resemblance to Lu Jinghuai than Afu did. I calculated the timeline. It had been less than 2 years since Lu Jinghuai and I were married when he began his affair with that woman. Yet at a banquet not long ago, I blushed deeply amidst the crowd's teasing about our deep affection. This revelation struck me hard. My mother-in-law pushed Lu Jinghuai forward to apologize. His expression was awkward, tinged with embarrassment. That time, I was in a bad mood and met with comrades. To cheer me up, they pushed someone onto the bed. I drank too much and mistook the person. "Whether you believe it or not, I never intended to do anything to betray you. Qin Xin, I'll handle this matter." "Calm down," he fled in a fluster. Unseen, his mother-in-law's benevolent face gradually turned cold. She gave a dismissive laugh, sat down, and spoke deliberately, "Besides Afu, you've never given Jinghuai another child. This woman bringing a son is a blessing, sparing you further suffering. Truth be told, Jinghuai hasn't wronged you either. He sacrificed his entire future for you. Some hardship on your part is only fitting. After my parents died in battle, I was adopted by the current emperor and empress, who bestowed upon me the title of Princess Shinin. My life flowed smoothly until I met and fell in love with Lu Jinghuai. That encounter brought the greatest setback of my existence. My family hailed from a lineage of military commanders. My elder brother still commands troops at the frontier. Coincidentally, Lu Jinghuai also came from a military family. He rose to fame at a young age, a hero praised by all. The union of two military families was something my father, the emperor, could never approve of. 3 years ago, Lu Jinghuai presented all his military merits to the emperor, pleading for my hand in marriage. He was willing to surrender all his military authority, begging only for this one blessing. The emperor granted his request. On our wedding day, I believed my life had finally reached perfection. Throughout my life, I had been cherished by the emperor, adored by the empress, and doted on by my crown prince brother. Now, I would also have my husband's love and a loving home. But married life shattered this dream. Only then did I understand, behind unparalleled romance lies a burden life cannot bear. After marriage, Father Lu treated me with lukewarm indifference. Mother Lu harbored resentment toward me. She blamed me for ruining Lu Jinghuai's future. These past 3 years, I have yielded time and again. Having retreated this far, I felt I had nowhere left to retreat. Yet in her eyes, I still had room to yield. Perhaps it began with bringing that woman named Mainyang into the household. Later, there might be Taonyang, Liunyang, Chunyang. Is that still the Lu Jinghuai I once longed to marry? I dare not think it. That day, besides my mother-in-law's persuasion, my birth family, the Jinguigong mansion, heard of this and sent my aunt to mediate. Which noble household in the capital doesn't act this way? If I heeded my advice and welcomed that woman into the household with grace, who wouldn't praise me? I watched her coldly, feeling only a sense of strangeness. I grew up in the imperial palace and never formed deep bonds with my uncles and aunts at the Duke of the State's residence. Yet I had truly hoped they would stand by me. In the end, I had hoped for too much. Even the maids and matrons by my side urged me to forgive Lu Jinghuai. As more and more people sided with Lu Jinghuai, it only made one thing clear to me: it felt like I lived in a world that spoke only for Lu Jinghuai. Everyone stood on his side. No one considered my feelings, they held no importance to them. They only wished for me to swallow my pride like any other mistress in the capital, to endure and carry on, maintaining a facade of harmony and happiness. This is terrifying. So I sought out my sixth sister, Li Rong. In this world, she is the only woman who despises Lu Jinghuai. Years ago, to drive a wedge between Lu Jinghuai and me, Father Emperor committed a cruel act. He bestowed a marriage decree upon Lu Jinghuai and sixth sister, framing her with the crimes of admiring Lu Jinghuai and shamelessly stealing her younger sister's beloved. This way, my parents needn't reveal their unease or risk the imperial family's dignity. And I could hate her with a clear conscience. Later, when I understood all this, I knelt before my father and begged him to annul the betrothal between my sixth sister and Lu Jinghuai. I also pleaded with him to strip me of my princess title, allowing me to return to being Luo Qingxin, daughter of the Luo family. I then openly rejected Lu Jinghuai. I told him that though I was no longer a princess, as a daughter of the Luo family, I sought only the nation's peace and prosperity, and the health and safety of my family. I would never defy imperial authority for love, nor cause my once loving parents any worry. Our love was insignificant in the face of family and country. At that time, I had resolved to live out my days alone. I never imagined the twists and turns that would follow. I never imagined Lu Jinghuai would, in a fit of rage, head to the frontier and achieve glorious military feats. I never imagined he would abandon everything just to marry me. On our wedding day, sixth sister arrived. The gaze she cast upon Lu Jinghuai held detachment and scrutiny, a probing look. Toward me, hers held pity. Back then, a breath of frustration caught in my throat. Why, I wondered, must she look at me like that? I vowed to make our life splendid. Lu Jinghuai gave me the world's most precious affection, so naturally I would make him the happiest young husband in all the capital. Now, I understand. She must have seen it then, that Lu Jinghuai and I were destined for tragedy. Lu Jinghuai's grand gesture made me the envy of the capital's noble ladies for years. He lifted our love to the heavens. And when that love fell, it nearly shattered me to pieces. I stayed at sixth sister's princess residence for many days. She was kind, and sixth brother-in-law Songji was kind too. They lived in perfect harmony, their home filled with constant laughter and joy. It wasn't until I saw the luggage she was slowly packing that I realized nothing is ever as simple as it seems. They were so good together, why did they end up divorcing? Sixth sister smiled. I simply no longer wished to reside in the palace. From the start, my marriage to Songji was a pretense. He has someone he truly loves and only needed to appease his family. We found common ground in this arrangement. Now that our 3-year agreement has ended, it's time for us to go our separate ways. I felt a wave of panic wash over me. For some reason, instinctively, I didn't want her to leave. She sighed softly, pulled me into her arms, and gently patted my back. My divorce papers were signed on our wedding day. I can't help you with your situation. Besides, no one can make decisions for you, and you shouldn't let anyone make them for you either. Just remember this, you are human, not a pet. As a human, you have thoughts and a heart. You must choose your own path forward, rescue yourself from hardship, and become your own hero. It's time for you to grow up. After all, you have a little girl now. Raise her well, just as you were once raised. She is a ray of light in my dark, troubled world, bringing a flicker of warmth to my frozen heart. During my days at Princess Lu's mansion, I ate and slept, slept and ate. My whole being was in a daze. Truthfully, I never knew who I truly was. I never even pondered the question, much less how to save myself from the fire. But when I woke this morning, clarity suddenly dawned. It's okay, I don't need to solve every problem at once. I can take things step by step. I can even set an example for myself. I can live like Sixth Sister. So the first thing I did after leaving Sixth Sister's residence was replace every maid and servant around me. I don't need a group of people speaking for Lu Jinghuai. What I need are people who speak for me. Like Anton, Feng Chao, Rixia, and Suan by Sixth Sister's side. They only speak for Sixth Sister, and Sixth Sister fights fiercely only for them. I want people who will stand by me through thick and thin. Nanny Gu cried, but I can't bear to part with Miss Afu. Miss Afu wants to see me too. Gu Laonyang was the wet nurse mother-in-law found for Afu, raising her from infancy. Afu was attached to her. Understanding Gu Laonyang's words, she sobbed in my arms. I want Laonyang. I want Grandma. Gu Laonyang did this deliberately. She deliberately provoked Afu's tears to manipulate me. She's a scatterbrain, and in her old age, she's become a complete senile fool. I cannot allow such a person to raise Afu. I used to be a softie, dreading any conflict. But this time, I followed Sixth Sister's example, turning to glare coldly at Nanny Gu. You made Afu cry. Half your pension will be docked. Gu Nanny fell silent, hastily wiping away tears as she hunched her shoulders, not daring utter a word. I paused, realizing manipulating Gu Nanny wasn't so hard after all. Then why did I endure 2 years of abuse from my mother-in-law and her? I'm such a failure. I looked at Afu and gently kissed her little cheek. Don't cry, silly girl. She'd abandon you for money. But in Mama's heart, you're priceless, not worth 1,000, 10,000, or even 1,000,000 gold pieces. You must never become like your mother, living in confusion for half your life, only learning wisdom in the latter half, ultimately too late. I didn't return to the Duke's mansion but went straight to the palace to see Mother. Mother had already learned of Lu Jinghuai's actions. Ill, her brow bore traces of melancholy and chill. Who could have imagined Lu Jinghuai would change too? Indeed! All that glitters is not gold. I had thought love forged through trials would endure, yet in mere 2 years, it had already soured. What do you intend to do? Mother. I want the palace maids and matrons who once served me. Have you thought this through? I have. Mother closed her eyes briefly. You came from Xiao Lu's quarters? What did she say? I couldn't help but choke up. One moment I'd resolved to be strong. The next, I was sobbing like a child beside Mother. She said I should learn to grow up on my own. She said that as a mother, I couldn't cry like I used to. But I couldn't help it. Tears, like stuttering, were truly beyond my control. Mother couldn't help but smile. She raised her hand to wipe my tears. That's quite Xiao Lu's style. Still, you must learn to grow up. If you've made up your mind, Mother will help you one last time. Go back now. The person you requested will be sent later. I returned to the Qingwu Duke's residence. Lu Jinghuai was absent. My mother-in-law's expression was grim. Are you satisfied now? Jinghuai sent them to the country estate outside the city, forbidding them to ever appear before you again. He even gave up his son for you. Well, then, you can bear that son yourself. She raised her hand, and someone promptly brought in a bowl of medicine. The liquid was thick and rich, giving off a bitter, fishy smell. This is the tonic I used to drink regularly, said to help conceive a son. But medicine is poison in 3 parts. I've felt increasingly weak these past 2 years. My mother-in-law and I clashed over it, but seeing Lu Jinghuai argue with her for my sake, I relented. Back then, he was my young husband, showering me with grand and sincere affection. I didn't want to cause him the slightest trouble. But now. I raised my hand and knocked over the medicinal broth. The liquid flowed toward my mother-in-law. She leapt back several steps, her voice sharp. How dare you? What do you think you're doing? Don't assume Jinghuai's affection gives you free rein. Don't forget what you owe him, he even gave up his official post for you. I've heard this enough. I cut her off. He couldn't have held office anyway. What did you say? How dare you speak like this? Madame Lu, don't deceive yourself. The first thing any general does upon returning from war is surrender his military authority. As for his military merits, yes, he used them to win my hand in marriage. But I, for him, gave up my position as princess. I owe him nothing. Had I remained princess, would the Main-Young affair ever have occurred? Had I remained princess, Lu Jinghuai would have been my imperial consort. However weak I may be, I cannot endure such scolding from my mother-in-law, nor tolerate my imperial consort's indulgence in pleasure. My mother-in-law stared at me, speechless. It was as if she were seeing me for the first time. A flicker of satisfaction stirred within me. My mother-in-law wasn't so difficult to handle after all. Then what were those 2 years of medicine I drank? A sign of incompetence? In the story Sixth Sister wrote, there's a term called love brain. The protagonists exist solely to pursue romance, with everything revolving around their affection. I once thought I wasn't like that, but now it's clear I was. Those 2 years of medicinal broth were probably meant to cure my love brain. Now, I'm cured. Suddenly, a cold voice cut through the air. Qin, how could you speak to your mother like that? I lifted my gaze to see Lu Jinghuai entering from outside. I didn't know how long he'd been there, or if he'd heard the entire exchange. His tone was icy, tinged with disappointment. Qin, apologize to your mother. Now. I looked at him, feeling a sense of unfamiliarity. He had urged me to apologize to mother before, but back then, he would either smile, plead, or sigh, never with such sternness as today. Why? Perhaps he truly believed banishing Main-Young and her son to the estate was an act of favor and kindness toward me. When did I become this wretched? Not even worthy of being asked if I was hurt. I lifted my face and said coldly, Lu Jinghuai, I demand a divorce. Lu Jinghuai froze for a moment, then flushed crimson, his face filled with disbelief. He stepped forward, gripping my wrist tightly. Say that again? Luo Qin, how dare you speak like this? His grip was so tight it hurt. Tears welled up uncontrollably, but I clenched my teeth, forcing them back. I told myself, the fight comes first. After we're done arguing, I'll secretly reward myself with a good cry. I emptied my mind, mimicking Sixth Sister's tone with unwavering resolve. I want a divorce. I want to divorce you. Lu Jinghuai didn't move. His eyes were bloodshot, his face ashen, his entire being like a raging lion. Afu lunged forward, her tiny fists pounding at Lu Jinghuai. Let go of my mother. Let go. Let go. The mother-in-law reached out and scooped Afu up. Come with Grandma. Your mother did something wrong. Your father needs to scold her. Come to Grandma's, and I'll give you candy. I don't want candy. I want Mama. Mama! Her wails tore at my heart. I pounded at Lu Jinghuai. Let go. Let me go, Lu Jinghuai. Let me go. A wave of helplessness washed over me. I thought back to my childhood. Second brother always treated Sixth Sister with malice. Though he clearly coveted her things, he always used my name as an excuse. He claimed he only took them because I liked them. Crown Prince brother also made Sixth Sister give her things to me. In the end, Sixth Sister defiantly smashed her belongings, refusing to give anything to anyone. Back then, I felt this helplessness in my heart. As a child, I didn't understand where this helplessness came from. Growing up, I gradually understood it was because I dared not refuse, dared not resist. I feared that exposing the truth would make them abandon me. One was the crown prince, the other a royal prince, both figures my adopted status made impossible to defy. Even our family's future depended on them. So I silently aided their tyranny, silently letting them use me as a punching bag. It was a mental exhaustion. But today, it was physical exhaustion. I was weak, useless, even my blows felt like tickling him. I couldn't even protect my own daughter. In that moment, Lu Jinghuai's face overlapped shockingly with the crown prince's and the second prince's. My hatred for him reached its peak. Lu Jinghuai, I hate you. Lu Jinghuai clutched me tightly in his arms. His eyes were red-rimmed, his voice thick with sorrow, yet his resolve remained unshakable. Qingxin, don't say things like that. You know we can never part. You shouldn't have grown close to the sixth princess. She's corrupted you. Just stay calm for a few days. I'll stay with you. We'll both cool down. Sixth sister never said a single bad word about you, Lu Jinghuai. You blame everything and everyone but yourself. You're the most selfish person in this world. Everyone withdrew. I heard the door lock from the outside. I bit down hard on Lu Jinghuai's hand, tasting the fullness of blood in my mouth. He grunted. Qingxin, if biting me makes you feel better, then bite. I released him and stepped back. His palm was drenched in blood. Strangely, I felt no pity, only exhaustion, as if I'd just recovered from a severe illness. Before, touching the battle scars on his body would make me ache with sorrow, compelling me to cherish and protect him. But now, I only wished he could feel more pain. Yet I couldn't let myself become a madwoman. I had to be rational, to stay calm. When Sixth Sister was forcibly betrothed to Lu Jinghuai by the Emperor's decree, she was clearly wronged. But she didn't lose her mind. Calmly, bit by bit, she dismantled the Crown Prince's schemes, persuaded the Empress Dowager, and scolded me into clarity. No matter how difficult things are for me now, they can't be harder than what she endured. Why can't I calm down? I can calm down. I can handle this. At first, I'll panic. But it's okay. I'll find a way to bring things back to the core issue between him and me. Ultimately, this stems from the rift that's long existed between Lu Jinghuai and me. Before, that rift was hidden. Mainyang merely made everything erupt, nothing more. I fetched water and rinsed the metallic taste from my mouth. Lu Jinghuai sat silently, his gaze occasionally drifting toward me. He likely expected me to fetch ointment to tend to his wound. After rinsing, I brewed myself a cup of tea, slowly sorting through my emotions. By the time my feelings settled, dusk had already fallen. I lifted my gaze to Lu Jinghuai and said calmly, "Now, can you tell me why you acted this way? Don't say you were drunk, Lu Jinghuai. I know you can drink 1,000 cups without getting drunk." On the day of my grand wedding to Lu Jinghuai, my biological elder brother was also present. We hadn't interacted much. He had reservations about my decision to give up the princess title for Lu Jinghuai, and he also carried a sense of guilt for not having raised me himself. Truthfully, I never blamed him. Back then, our parents had both died in battle, and our uncle and aunt were eyeing us greedily. He inherited the title of Duke of the Nation, unwilling to tarnish our parents' name or engage in endless feuding with our uncle and aunt. So he went to the frontier. Coincidentally, he brought me to the palace to express gratitude, and I unexpectedly fell asleep on Mother's shoulder. He saw how much my mother favored me, so when she proposed adopting me as her foster daughter, he agreed. He couldn't care for a child on the frontier, and dared not leave me at the Duke's residence. Entrusting me to my mother was truly the best solution. Yet he still felt guilty. That's why he plied Lu Jinghuai with wine. Later, he was drunk, and Lu Jinghuai was drunk too. But he was genuinely intoxicated, while Lu Jinghuai was feigning drunkenness. Back then, Lu Jinghuai had grinned and declared that no one could ruin his wedding night with me, not even his brother-in-law. That's why, when he claimed drunkenness made him mistake me for someone else, I felt a strange distrust. You can't sleep with a woman when you're drunk. If you can sleep with a woman, it means you weren't drunk at all. He was lying to me. In the dim light, Lu Jinghuai's face twitched. An indescribable guilt slid across his features. Qingxin, I only made one mistake. It's all in the past now. From this day forward, let's live our lives well and forget about this. I closed my eyes, feeling that helplessness wash over me once more. His current demeanor mirrored my own past avoidance of responsibility. So that's how ridiculous I used to be. I stated bluntly, "You hate me, don't you?" "No," he declared with absolute certainty. "Then that's it." I was certain. "Qingxin, don't be ridiculous. I said no. Why do you hate me? Did you believe your parents? You think I held you back. If not for me, if you hadn't married me, you'd be Minister of War by now, or at least Vice Minister, right? Seeing former peers outshine you while you've achieved nothing, you regret it, don't you? I don't. You can't assume things about me like that. He stood up abruptly, furious. I watched him quietly, seeing right through his unease. A mocking curve lifted at the corner of my lips. So it's true, when people are at a loss for words, they really do feel like laughing. No wonder Sixth Sister would laugh when she couldn't make sense of what I said. We truly were talking at cross purposes, unable to understand each other. Ah, why, the effort you put into pretending is truly laughable. When did you start hating me? If you hated me, you could have told me plainly. I'm not the type to cling desperately. You shouldn't have used such methods to hurt me. Lu Jinghui slumped powerlessly into his chair. His bloodied hand plunged into his hair, his entire being radiating frustration and helplessness. Qin Xin. I made just one mistake. Only this one time. Have you never made a mistake? I have made mistakes. When I was young, when the Crown Prince and second brother bullied Sixth Sister, I sensed something was wrong, yet I remained silent. Regardless of the reason. I profited from it, to some extent. Ever since leaving the palace and moving into the Duke of Jin's residence, I've regretted it. I hate myself for being foolish, weak, dim-witted, spineless, and hypocritical. I hate myself even more for letting others make decisions in my name, using my reputation, while I couldn't even utter a word of protest. Later, after marrying Lu Jinghui, I found myself falling into similar patterns. His presence made me feel safe, and I collapsed the backbone I'd painstakingly built. When my mother-in-law first handed me that bowl of medicinal soup, I should have overturned it. When my mother-in-law meddled in how I raised my children, I should have refused. When Lu Jinghui first demanded I apologize, I should have slapped him hard across the face. Instead, it wasn't until today that I suddenly realized I had nowhere left to retreat. Retreating further would only turn me into a masked mistress of the capital, glittering on the surface, but a mess of filth beneath. That is not the life I want. I cannot change others, only myself. Ah, why, when I was young, living in the palace, I believed everyone adored me. When father went hunting or escaping the summer heat, he always took me along. When mother acquired new fabrics, she thought first of making clothes for me. My eldest brother, the Crown Prince, was kind to me too. Whatever I desired, he would find a way to deliver it to me. My second brother, though sometimes irritating, dared not offend me and instead went out of his way to please me. As for my other brothers and sisters, they never made me feel uncomfortable. I always believed I was the most beloved child in the world. It wasn't until I left the palace and returned to the Duke of the State's residence that I discovered. I was quite detestable. My uncle, aunt, and cousins all disliked me, believing I had returned to usurp their place. They had to vacate the finest courtyard for me to live in, for I was once a princess and the legitimate daughter of the Marquis of the State. And your parents, though they never said it, I knew they felt you were being shortchanged. They didn't like me either. I say all this to tell you, stepping out of familiar surroundings, neither you nor I are as beloved as we once were. It was their favoritism that made us believe we were special. You aren't destined for high office and great achievements as your parents imagine. Being an official and fighting wars are two entirely different things. If you resent me for this, I find it absurd. If you think being with other women is revenge against me, that's even more absurd. I won't feel inferior because of your actions. I'll only feel you are no longer the Lu Jinghui I once knew. That's all. In the past, I didn't tell you how unhappy I was at home. That was my fault. Today, I tell you plainly, Lu Jinghui, I demand a divorce. I will divorce you, no matter what. A look of utter despair and numbness finally spread across Lu Jinghui's face. A question rose from the depths of his heart. Just once. Have you forgotten all the good I once did for you? Can't a person make a single mistake? I felt utterly exhausted, an unprecedented weariness washing over me. Of course people can make mistakes, but I refuse to be the one who drives you to them. Your affairs with other women, it's my fault you have no son, so you act this way. Your drunken escapades, it's my fault you can't hold office. Your unhappiness at home, it's my fault I haven't served your parents well enough, causing you distress. Ah, why, if this is what married life is, I regret it. Let's divorce. Without me, this troublemaker, you won't be a victim anymore. It's better for both of us. That night, Lu Jinghuai and I slept apart. He tossed and turned, while I dreamed all night. I dreamed of childhood. Second brother tried to snatch sixth sister's clay doll. Failing to take it, he claimed I wanted to see it and called sixth sister stingy. This time, I watched from the sidelines, witnessing my own cowardice, sixth sister's fury, second brother's arrogance, and crown prince brother's complicity. I jolted awake from the nightmare, drenched in cold sweat. So this is how it feels to be seen as a troublemaker, utterly unbearable. When we were children, sixth sister was deemed a harbinger of misfortune. Now it is me. Perhaps this is karma. Before, I could excuse myself as young and immature, shifting blame. But now that I've grown, if I cannot stand on my own, I deserve to be trampled into the dust. Lu Jinghuai and I were confined within the room for 3 days. He never left my side, waiting for me to change my mind. He spoke at length of our past, those days without marriage, filled only with love. But he didn't know that each time he brought it up, the regret only deepened. On the 3rd day, the door opened from the outside. I heard the sharp voice of He Nyong, the attendant by my mother's side. The empress commands us to attend to the princess. Has she been imprisoned? My mother-in-law held Afyu, her face grim. She forced a smile. Not at all. Just husband and wife speaking behind closed doors. Lu Jinghuai glanced at me, his pale lips trembling. In that moment, he truly resembled my younger self. Hoping I would speak up, to help him through this crisis. It turned out that before true imperial power, he, like me, would crumble. Suddenly, I felt a sense of release, forgiving my spineless younger self. I closed my eyes briefly, then opened them again, my gaze serene. Yes, they have imprisoned me. Nanny He, Shiraru, Shuangxiao, help me pack. I'm returning to the Duke of Xin's residence. This time, I reached out and took Afyu. My mother-in-law was reluctant, yet she knew she was in the wrong and dared not protest. Lu Jinghuai's demeanor finally shifted. His voice was like coarse sand in a parched desert, scraping at the ears. Qin, are you certain? No one in this world will ever love you as I do. Perhaps. Unparalleled love. Pain etched into the soul. I experienced both while by his side. When I proposed divorce, he didn't storm off like others would. He clung to me like one vine wrapped around another. Alas, I lacked the magnanimity of sixth sister to forgive the root of all this. I couldn't live day and night with someone who resented me, pretending affection. The poison had already taken root. To eradicate it completely was my only recourse. Returning to the Duke of Xin's residence, it took 3 days just to move my belongings. Those 3 days were ample time for rumors to run wild. What was once a love unmatched in the world had now become a spectacle of ridicule. Nanny He sighed, Princess, do not blame us for arriving late. The Empress said that unless you saw the truth clearly, you might never find the resolve. Then the pain would only come later. I was no longer a princess. Yet Nanny He still called me princess. Perhaps in her heart, I remained that little girl who chased her for treats. Thank Her Majesty for me. She was right. Hesitation only invites chaos. Only when cornered does one summon true resolve. I shut myself away, devoting every moment to my little Afyu. She seemed slightly different now, playing for a while, then pausing to watch what I was doing. I thought, though Lu Jinghuai was rotten to the core, he did at least one good thing, he gave me an utterly adorable daughter. But I paused, then crossed out the word adorable. I don't want my daughter to be merely cute. I want her to be a towering tree, a soaring eagle, a wind sweeping across the plains, strong and abundant. At the very least, she shouldn't end up like me, praised for being cute as a child, then commended for being virtuous as an adult. It's not wrong, but it feels like something's missing, a sense of self. She should be stronger and more resilient than I ever was. Lu Jinghuai and I reached an impasse. He refused to divorce me, deliberately avoiding meetings, dragging things out. I wasn't in a hurry. With the child in my custody, I had nothing to fear. Besides, the palace maids around me were all former servants from my own household. They wouldn't speak for Lu Jinghuai, they'd only side with me. Nanny he was preparing to return to the palace to report to Her Majesty. She sighed softly, believing I shouldn't have so impulsively renounced the princess title back then. Truthfully, I harbor no regrets. It's just that one must recognize their own nature. That lofty pride then, that one-sided passion, made me believe I alone possessed purity, that I stood apart from the world. Now, with clarity, I see extremes are unwise, a form of self-recognition in itself. Father and mother treated me well, yet they also deceived me. Now I can accept their kindness and fulfill my filial duty. I won't sever ties with them forever just because they hid things from me. Emotional debts aren't settled that way. Just as I resent Lu Jinghuai now, I still believe in the depth of his love back then. We simply weren't fortunate enough to reach the end together. 1 month later. Shueru went out to buy supplies and returned looking grim. When I asked her, she replied anxiously, Main Yang and her son have returned. She had seen them on the street. Both were dressed in luxurious attire, accompanied by Lu's mother's servants. I understood this was Lu's mother's way of making a show of strength. The rumors of my divorce from Lu Jinghuai had embarrassed her. She needed to seize some advantage, to appear more composed and confident. But I didn't care. I was even somewhat eager to watch the show. Sure enough, it wasn't long before Lu Jinghuai and his mother had a huge argument. This time, however, his father didn't intervene. He sided with his mother. They wanted a grandson. They declared that just as Lu Jinghuai had traded military honors for marriage without consulting them, they now needed no permission from him to cherish their grandson. Raising a grandson was their true duty. That night, Lu Jinghuai must have felt utterly desperate. He stumbled into my boudoir in the dead of night, reeking of alcohol. When Shueru stirred, he immediately raised his hand to strike her unconscious. I hurriedly cried out, Stop! Don't lay a hand on her! Speak your mind, no need for violence. Shueru rushed over and stood firmly by my side. I felt a surge of comfort. I too had a little palace maid to protect me. Lu Jinghuai's face turned ashen. He waited for me to order her away. But I wouldn't indulge him. Truthfully, I no longer wished to hear his words. After a long silence, he relented. He began, I didn't know my mother would bring someone back. She promised me she wouldn't. This wasn't my decision. I smiled. I began to understand why I had been so hateful before. I didn't want it, but it happened anyway. Yet I still wanted to play the innocent, unwilling to be blamed. I nodded. All right, I understand you were forced. So what now? Lu Jinghuai looked slightly displeased, as if he thought explaining his plight should earn my forgiveness. Come back with me, Qinxin. We'll shut ourselves away and live our own lives. We'll move out and never return to the old mansion. I sighed. Ahuai, why deceive me with promises you can't keep? Don't push me to the point where we tear each other apart completely, leaving not a shred of dignity intact. The emperor rules the realm with filial piety. No matter how formidable Lu Jinghuai's martial arts, how peerless his heroism, if he loses the people's trust in filial duty, even his majesty cannot protect him. He cuts ties with the Duke and Duchess of Qing? Never returns to the ancestral home? Others may not speak ill of Lu Jinghuai, but I'll drown in the venom of gossip. I've already caused enough trouble for father and mother. I cannot bring further shame upon them, letting people say their child is an unfilial, ungrateful wolf. Lu Jinghuai lifted his gaze, his tone hardening. Qinxin, matters have reached this point. Someone must compromise. I have already taken a step forward. For the sake of our past, can you not take a step toward me? Let their mother and child live with their parents. We will go to the frontier, to some other place, anywhere is fine. As long as the three of us are together, we can make our own way. What do you say? I sighed silently within. Ahuai, the words you spoke to me a month ago have already changed. How long will today's promises hold? When your son falls ill in the future, will you return? What if one day your parents fall ill, will you come back then? You are their son, returning is your choice. But what of me? Will they blame me? Resent me for fleeing far away with you? Blame me for robbing them of their son? How would I face them then? How would my Afu face them? Ahui, let go. The love between us isn't indestructible. There's no need to sacrifice family bonds or friendships for it. I don't want you resenting me in the future. Tears suddenly welled in his eyes. You're my legally wedded wife. I only made one mistake. Just that one time. I was speechless. Yes, just one mistake. But the resentment built up over these 3 years isn't fake. My desire to stop being a sinner isn't fake either. We sat facing each other in silence all night. As dawn approached, he lifted his gaze to meet mine. I want to cut through this mess decisively, so I can sleep soundly every night from now on. If you truly wish to make amends, guard me and Afu for 1 month. After that month, we'll talk. No problem. Lu Jinghuai was overjoyed. But there's one condition, you must guard us in secret. No one must see you. I don't want people to misunderstand or look down on me. Qin Xin, rest assured. I'll keep my word. He vanished in a flash. His martial arts were truly formidable. But I refused to let the Duke of Xin's residence become his personal playground, coming and going as he pleases. I wrote a letter to my elder brother, requesting he assign several skilled guards to protect the estate. Afu and I resumed our quiet little life. I held her small hand as we played hopscotch, archery, sack toss, rubber band jumping, paper cutting, and doll making. Yes, I could make dolls too, I secretly learned from Sixth Sister. I'll never forget that year when Third Sister and I slept in Sixth Sister's palace. Her maid, Swayan, gave Third Sister a clay doll but didn't give me one. I remembered it all. If she wouldn't give me one, I'd learn to make them myself. And finally, I did. Hee hee. One day, after playing until we were exhausted, I told Afu to sit quietly in the courtyard while I went to warm her milk. In that brief moment, Afu began to cry. I rushed out to find Afu clinging to Lu Jinghuai's back, crying helplessly. Lu Jinghuai was holding a young servant, refusing to let him leave. This servant was one of Lord Lu's men, skilled in martial arts. Seeing his plan exposed, he immediately knelt down and pleaded. Your Highness, please calm your anger. I was only following orders. I never intended to harm Miss Afu. I only meant to cause her a minor injury, so the master and mistress would have an excuse to take her away. Both elders miss Miss Afu dearly. Please forgive me, Your Highness. Lu Jinghuai froze. He released his grip. The servant slipped away in a hurry. I sighed, imagining what might have been if I had gone to the frontier with my brother. Perhaps I too could have mastered martial arts, instead of watching helplessly as others treated my Duke of the Nation's residence like a marketplace they could come and go as they pleased. I was too late, but Afu could not be. I resolved to write another letter, asking my brother to send a trustworthy female instructor. Both Afu and I would train diligently. I picked up Afu, confirmed she was unharmed, and spoon-fed her milk. She drank obediently, sip by sip, tears still in her eyes but her emotions calmed. Suddenly, Lu Jinghuai asked blankly, why did my parents do this? Perhaps because you and I haven't formally divorced yet. People always cling to hope. In Sixth Sister's stories, she mentioned a theory about boots. The moment when a boot is about to fall is the most agonizing. Once it finally lands, one should know what to do. As long as Lu Jinghuai and I remain married, they won't cease playing the elder's role to manipulate and subdue me. Only a complete divorce will silence them. After feeding the child, I realized Lu Jinghuai had left without me noticing. This time, I hope he gives up for good. He doesn't understand his mother. Living freely outside, he feels none of the oppression and hidden struggles within the household. I actually noticed long ago that my mother-in-law disliked Afu. Especially after I gave birth to Afu and remained barren, her dislike grew even stronger. She made a grand show of bringing in Mainyoung's son, partly because she genuinely liked him, partly to flaunt her power over me. Knowing I cherished Afu, she held her hostage, the ultimate blow to me. She had Afu injured, then used it as an excuse to accuse me of neglecting the child, taking Afu back. Then I'd return obediently, becoming the dutiful daughter-in-law she wanted, accepting Young, accepting her son, and ultimately losing myself. But I am no longer the naive fool I once was. These past 3 years, I too have grown. When she first brought Young back, I anticipated this very move. I will make her reap what she sows, forcing her son to witness her own vileness. Lu Jinghuai returned home and completely severed ties with his parents. He forced Young to sign a contract selling herself into servitude, then sent her and her son away that very night aboard a ship bound for the south. He declared that if she dared break her word again and return, he would sell her into a brothel for real. Young was terrified. She took the money, clutched her child, and boarded the ship without looking back. She had come seeking wealth and status. Now that she had them, there was no need to risk her life. Then Lu Jinghuai came to seek a divorce. He looked haggard, his face streaked with stubble, appearing disheveled and bedraggled, yet his gaze held an inexplicable new resolve. We signed the divorce papers and sent the steward to the magistrate's office to finalize the formalities. Rarely did we sit down together to calmly sip tea. 3 years of time swirled and swayed in the tea, ultimately distilling into one question: how did we end up here? I still yearned to know when exactly he began to hate me. But then I thought, perhaps this feeling was like the disappointment I'd accumulated in our marriage. It had no distinct beginning. It simply built up bit by bit until it finally erupted. As my thoughts wandered, Lu Jinghuai spoke up. "You've changed a lot. You weren't this sharp before." Yes, I'd grown sharp, lost my charm, but at least I felt at ease now. Those fairy tales I heard as a child. Why did the prince accept Cinderella? Because she made him comfortable and happy. Why did the prince accept Snow White? Because she was beautiful and adorable, pleasing to the prince. She'd likely never defy him once in her lifetime. Why is the mermaid so unforgettable? Because she gave without expecting anything in return. They all possessed natures that brought joy, so lovely and kind, like a gentle spring breeze. But wasn't Cinderella afraid when she stepped into the prince's castle? After all, they'd only danced a few times. She knew nothing about him, relying entirely on her own imagination of his character. Snow White is even more terrifying. Rescued from a coffin, she resolved to spend the rest of her life with him. She didn't even know where the prince lived, let alone why he was carrying a coffin home. The mermaid suffers the most. She lacked the courage to tell the prince the truth, to let him grieve for her. She made his life far too comfortable. As a child, I didn't understand. I only felt beauty or regret. Growing up, I realized the men and women in fairy tales were impulsive, foolish, and self-deceiving. Perhaps that's how people are, yearning for fairy tales, entering them, then escaping them. I've simply entered the stage of escaping fairy tales. That's all. But I couldn't say much to Lu Jinghuai. I could only utter one sentence. People must grow up, regardless of gender. Lu Jinghuai gave me a deep look, and we both fell silent. The steward completed the formalities and brought the documents. Lu Jinghuai and I each took a copy, and then we parted ways. He kissed Afu's cheek reluctantly, then hurried away. The servant who had accompanied Lu Jinghuai couldn't help but speak up. Master and mistress wanted to take Miss Afu back. It was the young master who insisted she stay with you. He said only by staying with you could she secure her position as a princess and live well. With master and mistress, she'd likely gain nothing. That's why they agreed. Mistress, the young master truly cares for you. It's up to you. I lay on the lounge chair, the sun's warmth bathing my body as my thoughts drifted aimlessly. Perhaps there is no right or wrong in this world, only choices. Today, I choose to find my own happiness. Lu Jinghuai has departed for the frontier once more. My brother has returned, bringing with him a group of guards and 2 highly skilled female martial arts instructors. From now on, Afu and I will train under them. My sister-in-law is the daughter of my brother's subordinate, Xiaoswan. She radiates a bright, vibrant energy, brimming with the vigor of the wilderness. Seeing me, her eyes lit up with surprise. How could there be such a beautiful porcelain doll? Oh my, you're so lovely. If only your brother had a fraction of your looks. Returning to the Duke of the Nation's residence, I learned my brother's marriage hadn't been peaceful either. My aunt had wanted to marry her niece to him, but he refused. Instead, he took matters into his own hands and married at the frontier. Fortunately, my sister-in-law was a good match. Both she and my brother were easygoing souls whose natures harmonized well, and they lived quite happily together. Taking advantage of the gathering, I reorganized the Duke of the Nation's residence and formally separated the household from my uncle and aunt. Truthfully, this division was long overdue. With my grandparents and parents all passed away, there was no need to continue living under the same roof as my uncle and aunt. Back when we were young, we didn't understand. Now that we see clearly, we handled it decisively. My uncle and aunt moved into their own courtyard, and the estate's funds were divided equally. My elder brother ordered them not to abuse our parents' name for their own ends. He also selected several capable young relatives, intending to take them to the battlefield for training. As a family of martial generals, our children's path lies in training and warfare. We must never forget our bread and butter. My brother stayed for a few days before hastily returning. His tiger-like eyes glowed red with guilt as he felt deeply sorry for me. "Why not come with us to the frontier?" he asked. "Life there may be harsher, but it spares you all these troubles." A few days ago, my sister-in-law confided in me. On his return journey, upon hearing Lu Jinghuai had left the capital, my brother deliberately took a long detour alone on horseback. He intercepted Lu Jinghuai and gave him a thorough beating. Of course, Lu Jinghuai didn't fight back. Otherwise, both would have been injured. "Little sister, your brother truly cares for you. Since ancient times, one cannot serve both family and country. Don't blame him." As she spoke, the worry in her eyes was impossible to hide. She truly loves my brother. I envy her, and I'm so happy for them. Even as my own marriage prospects crumbled, someone close to me found happiness and joy. How wonderful. I embraced my sister-in-law and comforted her. I never blamed my brother. I admire him as a great hero. My comfortable life in the palace is entirely thanks to his and our parents' efforts. Though I didn't find a good match, his decision back then was right. Father and mother treat me wonderfully. I have little to worry about in the capital. Instead, you must take good care of yourselves on the frontier. My sister-in-law relaxed, pinched my cheek, and laughed. "I'd love to kidnap you away." When that day finally came, she gazed at me with lingering affection before patting my brother's shoulder. "Go now. When true peace reigns over the land, we'll return to reunite with our little sister." They departed. Dust swirled behind their horses as they galloped toward the vast northern wilderness, leaving the capital's splendor behind. I took Afu's small hand, determined to train in horseback archery too. The daughter of a military commander ought to possess some skill herself. Thinking about it, I suddenly felt rather busy. I declined many banquets. Whether or not I held the title of princess, my life of luxury and privilege was already unparalleled. Those social obligations that once seemed so crucial now struck me as rather pointless. I saw no need to waste my time on them anymore. Except for invitations from a few select individuals, those weren't mere social engagements, but genuine exchanges of affection between family. The crown prince is to marry a crown princess. Ever since learning he might harbor feelings for me, I've deliberately avoided any appearance of impropriety. His fortunes have taken a turn for the worse. His governance has been riddled with errors, drawing the emperor's rebuke. He's been confined to his quarters, punished, and lost much face. Perhaps he too wished to shield me from witnessing his humiliation. Between us, it had been a long time since we last met. At the wedding ceremony, he led his bride step by step into the bridal chamber, glancing back in my direction. I lowered my gaze, keeping to myself, unwilling to get entangled in any trouble. After the ceremony, I escorted the Empress Dowager back to the palace. The dignified grace that enveloped her vanished the moment she stepped into the carriage, leaving only exhaustion. She looked at me, her eyes filled with anxiety. The crown princess has a strong personality. I hope she can restrain the crown prince and curb his impulsiveness. His most urgent task now is to produce an imperial grandson. When that happens, I will bring the child to the palace to raise. For the sake of this child, your father, the emperor, might not depose the crown prince. Otherwise. So, behind the scenes, the situation had already become this dire. Life in the palace truly felt like a dream. Only upon leaving the palace did I realize the outside world was a bloody reality. Does the crown princess agree? She has no choice but to agree. She's in the same boat as the crown prince now. If he's confined, she must accompany him. She'd rather give the child to me. Then why would the crown princess still? I chose my words carefully. The crown prince is a burning pit now. Why would she jump into it? Mother smiled bitterly. She yearns for the crown prince. Who would have thought? Neither would I. So it was love after all. Thinking of the crown princess, I see a reflection of my former self. A heart aflame, a moth drawn to the flame. What fate awaits her? No one can say. Time has slipped away so swiftly. I watched Afu grow up bit by bit. She blossomed into a young woman unlike me, bold and spirited, yet cunning and quick-witted. She was a child steeped in love, yet she could endure hardship. Except for one thing, like me, she cried easily. But she'd cry while practicing her horse stance. She'd sob that she still had 15 minutes left to train. Yet as she cried, her tears would dry, and she'd stumble forward, growing bit by bit. I take comfort in seeing glimpses of my parents in her. Not long after, father passed away. His death came suddenly, well in the evening, stiff by morning. Mother wept until she nearly fainted. Though their youthful bond had faded over the years, father had always treated her with great respect within the palace. He never usurped her authority nor deliberately humiliated her. Yet after years of storms, even the broadest umbrella cannot shield one from every drop. I also saw my sixth sister, who had hurried back. After her divorce from sixth brother-in-law Song Jiha, she had gone south. These years, she seemed to have lived quite freely, radiating an aura of having taken excellent care of herself. Spotting me, she offered a brief smile before heading to speak with third sister. I had Shiraru present her with a banknote for 30,000 taels of silver. She glanced at me in astonishment, murmured something under her breath, then accepted it with grace. Shiraru returned and whispered to me, "Sixth princess remarked, your relatives are truly wealthy." I couldn't help but smile. She remained that same delightfully quirky woman. From a pitiful, swaying blade of grass, she had grown into a mighty tree defying wind and frost. Alas, our timing was wrong. Had we met now, we might have become close friends. But now, we could only silently pass each other by with regret. Not disturbing her is the best blessing I can offer. Soon after, the crown prince ascended the throne. He finally became the new emperor. On the day he donned the imperial robes, he truly looked like a sovereign brimming with confidence and triumph. But quickly, under the onslaught of his court ministers, he appeared flustered and floundering. He couldn't appoint the people he wanted. His decisions were often overturned. He was even silenced by ministers' rebuttals. He also discovered his younger brothers were remarkably intelligent, whether in scholarship or martial arts, they excelled effortlessly and swiftly. Gradually, he grew restless and increasingly short-tempered. Later, through some unknown method, he suddenly became sharp-witted and quick-thinking. But one day, he collapsed in the court chamber and fell into an irreversible coma. Within mere days, all remedies proved futile, and he died suddenly in his bed. White silk drapes hung once more throughout the palace. The Empress Dowager had aged considerably. She clutched her bewildered, young grandson like a piece of dead wood. Seeing me, she offered a bitter smile. I had always thought my own body was the weakest, yet here I am, having sent one after another to their final rest. I held her in my arms, gently patting her back. "Mother, do not fear. I will always be with you. Just as you once held me all night when I first entered the palace, lost and bewildered." Sixth imperial sister came back for the funeral. She was exhausted from the journey. Perhaps those 30,000 taels of silver had drawn us closer. She asked me quietly, what exactly happened to the new emperor? How could he? After only a few years on the throne? I lowered my gaze, my eyes darkening. He took a pill called the cleverness pill. At first, just one. Later, he took 3 at a time. He hid it from everyone, even the Empress, his sister-in-law, knew nothing. Mother has already arrested those alchemists, preparing to execute them as sacrificial offerings. Give them to me. I'll take them away and lock them up. They might be of great use. You must ask Mother first. You go ask for me. Looking at Sixth Sister, who seemed to expect this favor as a matter of course, I sensed she had changed, her skin had grown thicker. But I had long since learned to refuse. Why should I? I won't go. Oh my, you've grown clever. Go on, I've never asked you for anything in all these years. Just help me this once. Once spoken aloud, the past felt less heavy. A weight lifted from my heart, and I went to plead with Mother. Mother agreed. She always believed Sixth Sister would bring her some joy and miracles. After the funeral rites, Sixth Sister departed once more. This time, she moved more slowly. Not only did she bring a prison cart behind her, holding several alchemists, but also the unconscious former crown princess, now the Empress. She had attempted suicide by touching the Emperor's coffin. Failing to die, she was rescued, only to return as if her soul had been stolen. None of us had imagined her love ran so deep. Mother asked Sixth Sister to take her outside the palace walls. The palace was too oppressive, draining even the liveliest women of their spirit. If she recovered, she could return, or not. After all, as long as one lives, anything is possible. Once one dies, truly nothing can be changed. Sixth Sister sighed, took the banknotes the Empress Dowager had given her, and thus set off with a large entourage. The Empress Dowager supported the imperial grandson's ascension to the throne and ruled from behind the curtain. Her first act was to restore my title as the princess consort of the state. She said, I still wish to favor you. All these years, you've been by my side, the only one who has. You may well remain with me for many more years to come, and it's better to have a proper status. I did not refuse, I accepted it plainly. We are mother and daughter. What my mother gives, I ought to receive. Mother also recalled Lu Jinghuai to the capital. With the frontier now peaceful, his continued posting there was a waste. But transitioning from military to civil service presented a new challenge for Lu Jinghuai. When he returned to see me, I refused to meet him, sending only Afu instead. He had shed his youthful awkwardness, gaining a new steadiness. The moment he saw Afu, his eyes welled with tears. Afu reached out to wipe his tears, and he pulled her tightly into his embrace, sobbing uncontrollably. All these years, we've both changed. We've come to understand the vicissitudes of life. Often, we're powerless to change things, and can only adapt to the flow, making adjustments where possible. Beyond that, we must honor our own hearts. He glanced at me, opened his mouth, but ultimately said nothing. I nodded to him and climbed into the carriage bound for the palace. I must assist Mother in guiding the new emperor. He is the nation's future, he must not go astray. We are both consumed by duty, leaving little time for romance. Yet we will strive to walk our paths well, living lives worthy of this journey. The end.